we did our first publication just simply to highlight these incredible women. And it turned out that we said, after that first publication, why don't we do this again? And again, WhereItzAt Magazine was born. We just say where it's at.
Where it's at, where it's at.
Do you have a dream? Do you have aspirations? Do you think you have a mission in life? Well, I thought all of these things, and so did my son, Christopher. I'm Clive.
And I'm Chris.
It's great to meet you. We're going to be sharing with you some of our dreams, some of our hopes and aspirations, and we hope you come along for the ride. Our dream was to start where it's at. Our mission was to be a platform for the Caribbean American community, a community of which we are proud to be part of. The Caribbean American community is made up of diverse territories. Interestingly enough, only 20% of the Caribbean community speaks English. 20% speaks French. The other 80% speak Spanish. Now, I'd love to have my Spanish-speaking friends watch us, listen to us. The likelihood of that happening is slim and none. So let us address the English-speaking community and, to a very large extent, the Spanish-speaking, the French-speaking community that have become part of what WhereItzAt is doing. Chris will tell you that our mission at WhereItzAt is to tell your stories. Now, we can only tell stories with which we are familiar. So this is why we tell you our stories in English. And WhereItzAt was founded 20 years ago, a little bit more than 20 years ago, with the intention of making sure that you have a platform, that you have a voice, that when you speak, there is a way that you can get heard. And so we have continued that mission for the last 20 years. We're going to be introducing you to people who have been part of that mission. Let me introduce you to my son, if he still is. I hope he is. This is Christopher.
I keep telling you, as I've told you in public, and I'm saying it here, the jury is still out. The DNA tests have come back inconclusive. So I don't know.
I'm puzzled.
I don't know that.
Are you denying
father.
Kinship here?
I don't know. For the longest, so folks, just so you understand, people always say I look like Denzel. And so, I think Denzel is my daddy. No, I'm just kidding. No, but he's gone down that road again. Okay, listen. It's great to be here, and you said something, in terms of what WhereItzAt is, and for folks who are just joining, and obviously getting a chance to hear this for the first time. This is really about us. Building something, expanding on something that we've built, right? Expanding on the legacy that you've created, because essentially WhereItzAt, as a print publication, WhereItzAt as a website is something that was born from all that you built prior. From back in Jamaica, which is where we're from, right? When you were on radio in Jamaica, when you were doing television in
Fame
Jamaica,
FM, and,
API, all that laid the groundwork for what WhereItzAt is today. When we came here, in 87 and you started radio in 93 on 105.9 FM. All that was part of the laying the foundation for what Where It's At is today. And so it's it's one of those things that it excites me to see that, we continue to expand on what was built, what was created, what was part of your DNA, because essentially that's what this is. This is an extension of the bricks that were laid, to establish.
You're waxing.
No, once in a while, I get a little, warm and fuzzy. No, but seriously, I mean, people will listen to me like, oh, you sound American, man, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I've been here for 36 years, right? So,
that's that long, huh?
Yeah, came here at 14, against my will. Kicking and screaming.
So you're talking about your age again.
I'm just saying, you kidnapped me from Jamaica and brought me here. I mean, I wasn't. No, but seriously, I mean, it's coming here, and I told you this, Dad. Like when we came here, yes, I understood why we came, but it was a tough transition, as I'm sure a lot of other people had. There's similar immigrant stories. Whether you came from the Caribbean or you came from Latin America, or you came from Africa, wherever it is you came from, the transition wasn't easy. And so by us giving people that voice, giving them the platform rather, so that their voices could be heard, those stories can be told.
But I'm glad you went there, because one has to be motivated to do certain things, right?
Right.
It has to come from a place deeper than just the surface, right?
Right.
One of the things that impacted me, folks, and let me bring you into this conversation because I want you to be part of this. And my son and I, we make fun of each other from time to time, but speaking from the heart, when I got here in 87, as you point out, when we got here, back in Jamaica, I used to observe very carefully. I read the Gleaner, I read the Star, I read the other available newspapers at the time. And the images that I saw of black folk made me proud. When I got here to these United States and saw how black folks were represented, and I'm talking about black folks who have a stake here, black folks who were born here, raised here, even if they were college professors, attorneys, they worked in the higher echelons of the federal government, whatever position they were in, you just look at a simple photograph of them in the leading mainstream newspapers, and it was hard to differentiate whether this is an accomplished person or a felon. Seriously, because nobody paid any attention to representing the images of black people in a responsible and attractive way. It really resonated with me, right?
Well, because these were in publications that were not aligned with, or I would say, did not have us in mind. Okay.
Yeah.
They didn't favor us.
So thank God for Ebony and Jet.
Thank God for Ebony and Jet. Thank God for Black Enterprise.
Thank God for Black Enterprise.
Which Black Enterprise is still around today. Ebony is now seeing a resurgence. Yeah. So these are the things that I know it was something that because of you, and because of Mom, just growing up, it was impressed upon me that however, when I walk out of the house, I had to represent, right? Yeah. And so in everything I did, that was the goal, is to try to represent. And so now this publication was to continue to do that.
So when we left the radio platform, right, the idea was to find a platform that would be able to expand the conversation, right? Radio, you're limited within a certain block of time,
Right.
right?
Right.
And sometimes you get interrupted, right? I wanted a publication, Chris, that I wouldn't be interrupted. If I had to say something, I could say it in 500 words, 1,000 words if I wanted to, and really flesh out the conversation and get people interested. There was this, my friends in radio and television, they all said, what are you going to do? A print publication? Hardly anybody reads anymore. Not true. This is another one of the myths that is constantly redone, retold over and over again. And folks, I want you to listen to me. The mythology is there because they really want to discourage you from reading. If you are told over and over and over again that you don't read, what that is programming. And when you get programmed like that, you're getting literally hypnotized. You're being narcotized into believing that your community who looks like you no longer reads. How does that make you feel? It makes you have a sense of inferiority. It makes you have a sense that, well, if my community is not reading, therefore they are not understanding what is happening. So it minimizes socially your contact with your community. You think less of them. You see how pernicious? This is a pernicious message that we're not reading. We went against the grain, Chris. When we sat down, and if you recall, right, Where It's At came out of the pageant that we had for mothers, the Caribbean American Mother of the Year event, where we had put this event in place to honor, not just honor mothers, but to give mothers a respite from the hard work that they're doing. They're managing a family. Some of them going to school. So they're some with 2 jobs. And these mothers over time sort of lost their identity, lost their sense of self, right? I mean, and when we imagined the pageant, right, the idea was to have them go back on stage, have Annette, who is our partner, make them up to make them feel better about themselves, do the walk, put on new clothes, put on some interesting makeup. And so we, over the 9 years that we did that pageant, we saw women transformed into feeling, looking, and appearing in every way more confident than they had started out. And that sort of taught us something. But the key to the story here is that we decided that in order to represent them properly, we should do a publication that highlighted these women. And so in 2003, and then the whole concept which you devised, Chris, about telling people where it's at, you maybe want to talk about that.
I mean, it was really so originally Where It's At was going to be a website. Originally, it was going to be a website that would bring people to all things Caribbean. Right. So no matter where you were in the world, you wanted to find out what was happening in the Caribbean community. You wanted to connect with the Caribbean culture. Where It's At is where you want to be. So that was the tagline. Where It's At is where you want to be. But that idea came in the late 90s. We saw the bubble bust. This was the .com bubble bust.
So about the bust was about 2000, right?
No, I think it was around about 99. I think it was around about 99. It might have been It might have been about 99, 2000, somewhere in the middle area. It definitely was, I think, before 2000, because 2000, I remember moving to a major financial services firm, and it had already happened.
Yeah.
So at that point in time, I had to pump
The
the brakes.
dot-com bubble.
I had a major investor that was going to invest a serious amount of money, and for me as a young, Black immigrant kid, that was going to be my come up, and that was halted. And then, I was doing parties at the time, in the nightlife scene, and then you and I kept talking, and you talked about wanting to build this, wanting to create this.
Why was I talking to you though?
You were talking to me because I'm the man. I mean, I'm just,
Okay, right.
I'm the man. What can I tell you?
Okay.
The man, the myth, and the legend. No, he's not. But seriously, I mean, it was about what we were. You and I were obviously on the same page, and we had the same vision and goal in terms of what we wanted to do for our community. And so I remember you calling me and saying, in addition to obviously the Caribbean American Mother of the Year pageant, you were talking about the fact that there was a need for a community publication, a need for something that represented us.
Not that there wasn't.
No. But see, there was.
Yeah.
But having one or two is great, but having multiple is even greater, because one or two, it's just like having Black-owned radio stations. They can't. One or two will never be able to tell all our stories.
Right.
And our stories are so diverse.
Because we're diverse, precisely.
Our stories are diverse, and we are a large group of people. So we need multiple outlets to be able to really cover, the area, and really, I think, cover the diaspora, right?
But you remember one of the things that I said that was not negotiable for me was that our people, their pictures should appear in color.
Absolutely. And a large amount of the publications were mostly, they had color, but they were black and white.
Black and white.
And again, it's definitely not to take away from the tremendous work that they were doing.
No, not to denigrate.
They made a tremendous impact on the community, and of course, a tremendous impact on us to even want to add to what they were doing. But us being full color, I think just.
But one of the things that people challenge me with, I'm sure you got that challenge. Oh, why don't you do a glossy if it's a magazine? Because people tend to think of a magazine as being glossy, right?
That was a big thing. So we had a lot of people. Oh, you call it a magazine? It's a paper. It's a new. It's a paper.
Can I just tell people what a magazine really is?
Go ahead.
A magazine is not really just the finished product. A magazine is actually the layout, the style, right? It's the format in which you lay the magazine.
Exactly.
That's really a magazine. So when on the weekends, if you still buy, nobody can afford to buy the Times anymore. But when you could
do it online,
when you could afford to do that, you'd see magazines, accompanying the main body, and these were just regular pullouts. Right? But they're magazines simply because of the layout. So magazine doesn't necessarily mean glossy. When we realized that, and when we realized that if you want to do some glossy, you had to pay an arm and a leg and another leg, we realized that there's no way that we could deliver that to you for free.
Yep.
And what we produce a saddle-stitched, well-bound, beautiful publication for you.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
With all the bells and whistles you need.
Yep.
For free. We give it to you so people say to me, Chris, how are you able to do this for free? Right? Why? Because there are business people, like one of the business persons that we're going to be talking to, Nala Royale. We're going to be talking to Nala. Business people like her realize that in order to get you to know that they're in business, they advertise with us.
Absolutely.
And that advertising dollar is what keeps us able to give you that magazine for free. So you owe it to people like Nala Royale, the other businesses that advertise. You owe it to them to support their business because they're supporting you.
Right. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So the concept is very simple.
Absolutely. It's even to take it a step further, the magazine you showed, the cover of, on our next episode, we'll be talking to Bobby Clark, right? Yeah. And so that next episode with Bobby Clark, the reason why I bring that up is because doing radio, they followed a similar format. I mean, nobody pays for radio. Radio is free, right? You turn it on, it's there.
It is there.
Right. But advertising is what paid the bills. Advertising is what makes sure the lights are on and people can get paid and have an income, have a living.
A little communications 101, folks.
Yeah.
It's critical.
Yeah.
That, our community really, and we can't drive home the point hard enough, we really need an understanding of what media does. Do you understand that media means power? In the landscape of American economics and government, the fourth estate is media. The fourth estate is media. It ranks fourth in terms of the priorities of American life. If that is the case, then it means that this is a powerful vehicle, right?
Absolutely.
And when we have the vision, have the dream, and design our mission to come to you with a media product that enhances your life, elevates you, gives you the platform, folks, please embrace it. It's an appeal that I kind of got a little carried away.
No. But no, it's important because a big part of the conversation is about legacy, right? So we talked about it. We talked about it in print, and we're talking about it here because obviously this is the introduction of our show to you guys, right? To you listeners. And we want you to understand what's driving this, the motivation behind it. The motivation behind it is it's imperative that Black media be preserved. It's imperative that it continues to grow and flourish. It's imperative that it gets passed on from generation to generation, because if not, we lose the opportunity to tell our stories. We lose the opportunity to write our narrative, not, somebody else telling the story and painting the pictures, but us, the people like the Johnsons and the Earl Graves of the world who created, Ebony Jet, Black Enterprise and so forth, Essence magazine, these folks, when they got in a room, when Essence, Ebony Jet, Black Enterprise, they got in a room with major advertisers, they came together to ensure they had the power to say to whoever, whether it be a Mercedes-Benz, I'm just pulling that name out the air, or whoever, that, look, you got to spend the same money with us. You can't, don't try to pit us against each other. We're together. So this myth also that we don't work together is nonsense. I could think of another word, but I'm not going to say it. But the bottom line is it's nonsense. We work together, and we have worked together historically. How else could we have places like Black Wall Street? And in Tulsa, Oklahoma, there was Black Wall Street, but there was Black Wall Streets in the early 1900s during the period of the Depression all over this country, the United States of America. So we have a history of working together, of building together, of growing together, and we have to continue that, especially now as times get more and more serious, especially as we see the kind of the things that exist in the political arena, and the people who cannot be taken lightly because they're dangerous, right? That are doing things to ensure that we continue to lose our footing, that we continue to lose our what I think is our right. And we have the right. We have the right to tell our stories.
The African American Chamber of Commerce did something recently that was really outstanding.
Right.
They had a platform, a forum, where they honored Cuban American media. For the, I don't know if this existed before, but it exists now.
Right.
And they partnered with a group, which we're going to be giving folks more information about them. A very successful public relations group out on Long Island, who are Caucasians, but who have a sense that the African American, Caribbean American agenda is so important, and the market is so potentially profitable that they see the need to get involved and become engaged. And so we're going to be doing a couple interviews with folks like that. What we're making an effort to do is for you folks to bring the players, the key players together who in the community, so that you can hear from them what's happening and the opportunities that exist. There are organizations that we can partner with, and we will partner with, to make sure that you get the best information, up-to-date information as to how you can flourish and thrive in our communities of color.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot more that we're going to be telling. I mean, I put it to you like this. We have Bobby Clark coming up as a guest, right, who will be our next episode. This is a man who, with his team, built Irie Jam Media. We have Nala Royale, who will be talking about an amazing business that she built.
Single-handedly built,
and has been running for the past 19 years, called Dunn's River Lounge. And we have so much more. I mean, I'm not going to let too many more cats out the bag, but there's definitely a lot in store. One of the things that, you have the publication there that you showed, but we recently did the Big Awards. Yeah. And Big
So what is the Big Awards?
Business, Innovators, and Game Changers. Right. And, I'd love for you to, you have one there to show the cover, because that is a representation of people from the community, Haitian, Jamaican, Bajan, Trinidadian, Dominican, just a variety of people, Cuban, Cuban Jamaican heritage, who really, represent some of the best and brightest from our community. And they were honored at our inaugural awards event. That we've been doing for the past 9 years. And, I guess this is what you consider a humble brag. I mean, we created that, right? We created that. You had the vision for creating something, wanting to create something that, could pour back into and celebrate and sort of give the flowers to the people who are doing great work
while they're alive. While they're alive. And you know something? That's another very interesting thing I saw. Living in New York, you see people being honored. It's the same people, over and over, who are in the public eye. Yet those people who are working behind the scenes, going about their business, but doing amazing things for their community, you never see them receiving an honor, except at some private function, Chris, where a plaque is given to them. So the event accommodates a little space for recognizing someone who has been doing some hard work. But it's not curated. It's not memorialized. It's nothing really special. What we do, we have curated an event that the honoring of these people who have earned this kind of recognition is not a byproduct of an event, but is the event itself.
Right. And it's no shade to people who are doing their
Oh, no,
their
not
thing.
at all.
I mean, it's
We-
just
we
it's
encourage
just-
you to continue,
It's
you
just
know.
this is what we I think it's who we are, right? It's
just-
father and son.
It's,
Right?
just, it's just us.
No,
yeah.
I mean, I'm looking forward. I mean, next year will be our 10th year.
Yeah, man.
2024. So we'll have a lot of interesting things to talk about and share, and there'll definitely be a lot for people to see in terms of the people we're going to be honoring for 2024 and what Where It's At will be doing. So this is the beginning of great things to come, and I'm glad we're able to share it
Since
with
I'm
you,
the guy who still does the hard work, I'm the guy who's in the trenches, still delivering the magazines while you're in your nice office, kicking back and drinking tea and so forth.
Listen, the content.
Let me finish.
The content.
Let me finish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know the content is a lot as you and all that. Don't blow your horn. But while you're doing that, I'm out there
Right.
talking to people.
You want a cookie?
that would help.
Biscuit?
That would help.
Yeah.
But I'm talking to people in the trenches, right? And they're saying, how do you do this? Why do you do this? And when I explain to them our core values, right?
Mm-hmm.
And our reasons for wanting to do this, Chris, people, they stop and they listen.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had, I'm taking the magazines into a particular supermarket or to a location where that people can pick up the magazine, and people are taking it out of my hand before I'm able to put it down.
Oh, yeah.
That has been the impact of Where It's At in our community. So having said that, I'm going to make an appeal. You have a business. We're not only interested in helping you to advertise that business. We are experienced marketers. We are coaches who can help you understand the marketplace, the demographics, what kind of ad you need to do, how you should construct the ad, how you should position the ad. We are here to help you. This is why we are talking to you. This is why we're having this conversation with you, so that you can build your business, your profession. Last words, Chris?
Last words, please check us out. Go Where It's At on Instagram, X, Facebook. So that's WhereItzAt.
Why the Z?
We'll tell you next time. Until then, thanks for tuning in. Like I said, we have on our next episode, Bobby Clark from Irie Jam Media. So just remember, Where It's At is where you want to be. We tell your stories. And we'll be back.
And then Nala Royale is going to be right after that.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Want to know who she is? Exotic sounding name, right? Nala Royale.
Oh, yeah.
We talk about that. Until then, this is Where It's At.
This is where you want to be.